got some cool words to say about our speaker, Natasha Paradeshi. We're so excited to have her with us. She has been involved in the anti-trafficking field since 2007, when she was an undergraduate student at the University of Texas at Austin, studying business and Spanish. So our Spanish ladies go and give her a run for her money. While earning her Master of Public Policy degree from the University of Southern California, she focused her research projects on anti-trafficking efforts and worked for the Coalition to Abolish Slavery and Trafficking, where she more closely connected with survivors of human trafficking. In 2013, she moved back to Houston and married her best friend, Sunny. She helped start Rescue Houston before co-founding Houston's first drop-in center for survivors of human trafficking and those in the commercial sex industry, The Landing, where she now serves as the executive director. She and Sunny started a company together called Solace Media, which gives a portion of its proceeds to anti-trafficking work. She's also a certified personal trainer and hopes to use her experience to help survivors heal at The Landing. Please welcome to the stage, Natasha Paradeshi.
Never-ending battle against the sex trade, and now there's a new weapon on the battlefield. Today, Sojourn Landing officially open for business.
I think we're ready. We're ready. We're just, these next few months, we're going to concentrate a little bit more on outreach so that people in the community know that we exist, and so that we can start accepting clients, whether that's from law enforcement or other agencies.
The Landing is the only drop-in center in the entire city, in fact the entire area, for sex trafficking and sex trade victims. Here they can get everything from clothing, toiletries, a place to relax, and of course, access to help and counseling in a safe, non-judgmental environment. We first showed you the center about a month ago. It was basically an empty office suite and had just 2 staffers. Now the center is ready to go and staffed by approximately 20 trained and vetted volunteers. This is a celebration of that progress. While most long and short-term safe houses are in discreet locations, the Landing is not, just the opposite. It's on the 6th floor of an office building in the 9800 block of Bissonnette. This stretch of Bissonnette is what's known as a track, a place where prostitutes are known to frequent. And that's why they decided to locate here, to be very close and accessible to potential clients. But will this work? Will they be able to reach out and help coax victims out of the life? Captain Dan Harris with HPD Vice says yes. The staff has done its homework looking at other such centers around the country, and there's clearly a need.
I think that's great. I'd much rather see this succeed than having a woman arrested. So I think this is great.
Because the fight is far from over. In Houston, John Donnelly, Fox 26 News.
Why did Andrew think it was okay to sell his 4-year-old daughter for sex on the internet? How was it okay for Tony to be forced to sell magazines? What would I do if it was my sister? Will Mary ever recover? Should I hope that she succeeds, or should I expect her to fail? These are the questions that I've asked myself over the past 10 years of being involved in the anti-trafficking space. These questions make me feel uncomfortable, and a lot of these questions I still can't answer. But what I do know is that I believe in His Word. And His Word requires us to act justly, love mercy, and walk humbly with our God. He pushes us out of our comfort zones to go to places we never would have imagined. You see, if we believed His Word is true, then we would live more boldly and love more wildly. When I say wildly here, I mean we would love where it's hard to love. We would love when it hurts and to love with mercy. We would love unexpectedly and love greatly. In 2 Corinthians 3:12 it says, "Since we have such a hope, we are bold." We are bold. And that's exactly what it means to serve in the anti-trafficking space. And as you listen to the rest of this presentation, I encourage you to think about how God is calling you, how God will be able to use you in this space. And I know that we have many people in the audience here today that actually do serve in this space. And we are so thankful that you have been able to join us as well. And I know since we have people that understand different levels of what it means to serve in the anti-trafficking field and what human trafficking is, I'm just going to go briefly over what human trafficking is. So according to the federal definition of human trafficking, it involves an act, means, and a purpose. It is the recruiting, harboring, moving, or obtaining of a person by force, fraud, or coercion for forced labor or for forced sex. Now, the statistics are a little bit difficult because it's such an underground industry. But it is believed by the International Labor Organization to be a $150 billion industry with 20.9 million victims worldwide. And in a world where God has given us freedom, not even one of these individuals should be enslaved. Not even one. Also, less than 1% of victims are identified. So, there's a few myths out there. Many of you have probably heard that Houston is the #1 hub for trafficking. Now, we know that Houston is a major hub for trafficking, but we can't say it's the #1. Also, people believe that human trafficking and prostitution are completely separate and unrelated. And I believed this for a long period of time. I thought, you know what, prostitution, that's something completely separate. They want to do that. That's something that I'm not going to get involved in. But I learned over time how interrelated and interconnected prostitution is. So if we really want to get to the heart of this issue and we really want to identify more victims, well then we better start working with those that are involved in prostitution and in the commercial sex industry. You may have heard that the average age of entry into prostitution is 12 to 13. And this study that has been widely spread actually shows a younger population, so basically does not take into account an older population that is involved in the commercial sex industry. People believe that law enforcement doesn't do anything. Oh, we see the massage parlor here, we see this happening there. And as you'll hear shortly, law enforcement is actually doing a lot. And they are one of our main advocates, and also they really do care about these victims. People believe we need to save them, we need to rescue them, and if we don't save them, well then we're not doing anything. And that's simply not true. We're here to touch lives, and God has called us just to go and love. And so that's what we're here to do. And if they relapse, which they may do, that's okay. Because we are still going to be in God's will. Lastly, people believe that human trafficking has to include crossing a border. You can be a victim of human trafficking in your own hometown. In fact, many of those that we work with at the landing are those who are born and raised in Houston. So, but why Houston? Why is it a major hub for trafficking? Well, we have the I-10 corridor, we're close to the border, we have 2 large international airports, we have a very diverse labor sector. So how does the landing fit into all of this? Well, about a year ago, we met with Captain Harris, who's the captain of HPD Vice, Constance Rossiter, who's the director of the YMCA Trafficking Persons Assistance Program, and Dennis Mark, the executive director of Redeem Ministries. And we asked, is a drop-in center needed, and where should we start it? And they said, absolutely, and on Bissonnette. I didn't realize at that time that the area they were talking about was 5.7 miles away from this church. That blew my mind. And so we got started with a few other co-founders, including Deborah and James Gates, who are sitting right here. Please come and talk to them afterwards as well. And we just got started into researching more. We visited over 9 organizations, learning from their best practices. We brought together an advisory council of over 20 people from different sectors just to understand and help to grow and strategically build this drop-in center so that it can be a place of respite and also to help understand how to best serve these victims. Our mission is to serve those in the commercial sex industry and survivors of human trafficking with a trauma-informed approach. Our values include love, social equity, and honor. We want to love with God's love. We want to love greatly. We believe all of them are created equal. All of us are created equal. And we want to honor each and every individual that walks through our doors. We will serve men, women, and children. So people often ask, what is a drop-in center? You know, you hear of shelters and you hear of safe homes, but drop-in centers, not so much. So our drop-in center is open 3 days a week right now, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. until we are able to build the capacity and to build the funding to be able to be open 7 days a week. The purpose of the drop-in center is to meet somebody exactly where they are. It's a place of trust, of non-judgment. It's a place of love. It's a place where you can relax. Just come in and watch Netflix. It's okay. Whatever is happening in your life, it's okay. You don't have to leave the sex industry in order to come to us. And that's why we are strategically placed on Bissonnette. We want to meet their basic needs, and I'll be talking a little bit more about our services a little bit later on. But if you want to build trust with somebody, then you need to meet them right where they're at. Some of you may have seen this before, and I often go over this in our trainings, Francesca Di Clementi's Wheel of Change. And this really applies to all of our lives. And so the example I like to use for us in order to just kind of get it more is going to the gym, for example. Okay, so there may be a gym right next door, but we don't even think about going there, right? So we're trying to make a change in our life. We don't even know that exercising is a thing. It's not important. So that's the pre-contemplation stage. Then contemplating. We're thinking, oh, you know what? I heard this exercising thing. It's kind of good for you. Oh, maybe I'll check it out. Then we're determined. We see the gym and we're like, tomorrow I am going to go and get a membership. Then we act upon it. We actually go into the gym and get a membership. Then either you may maintain that and keep going for the rest of the year, or 2 weeks after your New Year's resolution, you stop going to the gym and you relapse, only to start again next January. So this is the wheel of change, and it helps us understand that change is difficult. Change is very hard. And so when we work with those victims that we work with, we have to understand this. And that's why relapse keeps coming again and again. But every time they come back to us, we still love. Just like every time that we go back to God, He still loves us no matter what. And that's what we're here for. So why this location? So we opened on February 26th at this location because it is a major hotspot in Houston for human trafficking and prostitution. As you can see, this is a map actually provided by law enforcement, and these are some of the major hotspots of trafficking. And you see in that southwest corner down there, that's Bissonnette, 5.7 miles away from here. So who have we collaborated with so far? I just list all these organizations and individuals up here because it shows us why we believe that strategic partnership is so important. We believe in order to help an individual, we need to work with all of the resources around us. Others can help better than us in certain areas, like substance abuse counseling. We work with the Council on Recovery for that. The Freedom of Church Alliance, who has helped give us seed money to be able to even start. Bayou City Fellowship and Sugar Creek. Shield Bearers, we have our counselor here today with us who provides trauma-informed counseling to the survivors. Redeem Ministries, HPD, FBI, YMCA. All of these individuals and organizations are needed in order for us to support these victims. Like I said earlier, we visited over 9 organizations around the country to be able to start the landing, learning from their best practices. So our services include case management, counseling. We have a resting room for them to just come in and just relax because it's tiring when you're out all night and you need to just come in and just take a nap. Or they can just come in and watch Netflix, get something to eat, get some clothing, get some hygiene products. We also teach a course called Ending the Game, which is a coercion resiliency program. It teaches you levels of detachment to your traffickers, your pimps, and increases your self-confidence and self-esteem. It's a survivor-created curriculum the survivor created out of California. Enrichment program-wise, We want to incorporate fitness programs, creative programming, Bible studies, economic development. Another thing that we do are outreach and operations. The survivors we reach out to need to know that we exist. This is why we do street outreach twice a month. We work very closely with SEAL Security and HPD. In fact, our operations director, Patrice Parker, who's here today, sitting at the back, wave your hand, Patrice. She's the one who leads our outreach and has actually built the whole outreach program for the landing. It's amazing how it works. It's amazing that SEAL Security and the Westside Police Division are able to partner with us in order to provide the security for our volunteers and our staff. HPD Vice also invites us on some undercover operations so that the potential victims of trafficking can learn more about our services. On one of the first operations, I actually learned what Matthew 25 and 36 meant. For I was hungry, and you gave me food. I was thirsty, and you gave me drink. I was a stranger, and you welcomed me. I was naked, and you clothed me. I was sick, and you visited me. I was in prison, and you came to me. I truly felt the verse as I opened a water and helped her drink because there were handcuffs on her wrist. I felt the verse as I took sweatpants and pulled them over her feet and up to her waist. Yes, by law, prostitution is illegal, and those engaging in the industry, whether they are the sellers or buyers, by law they must be arrested. However, HPD's Vice Captain, Captain Harris, truly cares about these victims. And that's why he allows and encourages us as service providers to be on the scene, to give hope and to talk about the services we offer, and to pray with them. The landing is also part of the Bissonnette Corridor Initiative, which is made up of law enforcement, government officials, and service providers in the Bissonnette area, wanting to help the victims. In our drop-in center, we have seen over 35 individuals this year and reached over 80 individuals during outreaches and operations. And for us, that's a lot this year. We just opened in January, and it's amazing how God has just brought these individuals into our lives. But it's really not about the numbers. It really is about those individual lives. But people always want to hear about the numbers. So I'd like to just do a quick exercise with you, because this helps me in trying to understand what it's like for an individual and why it is so difficult and hard to work in this space. So if you all just close your eyes. Imagine you're a case manager. Day after day, you help these survivors of trafficking because that's where God has called you to, and you care for these amazing individuals. You help provide food, clothing, hygiene products. You take home the bed sheets to wash after someone sleeps in the resting room. You bend over back to try to get a girl into a shelter. You step out of a movie to take emergency calls. You lose sleep when you have nightmares. Then you aren't able to do something a client asks, even though you already explained why it's so difficult. You have limited resources and limited capacity. You wish you could do more. So the client yells at you and hurls angry words at you. You feel broken and hurt. But then you remember the trauma that she's been through and that God never said you would be thanked. He just called you to love. And you remember it's still worth it. It's worth it to see a girl finish her CNA course. It's still worth it when you get a call saying, I got a job. It's worth it when she says, I know I can do it, when she felt like trash the first time you met her. It's worth it. And so you press on. Now imagine you're a woman who has been in the life of selling herself for sex for over 10 years. Now you're in your 20s. Everyone has been saying you're worthless your whole life. You come from a broken background, never met your dad. You've been raped, manipulated, and abused. You meet someone on your track who says they can help you. So you cautiously go to their place because, hey, you can use a new shirt and some food for free. You meet some nice people at the center who help you with medical appointments, getting an ID, food, hygiene products. You don't want to go to a shelter because you've had some bad experiences. You'd rather stay on the streets or in a hotel, paid for by your pimp, who you still believe is your boyfriend. One of the days that you've been raped, you go to the drop-in center, but you're so mad that you lash out at your case manager. You feel embarrassed and guilty and worthless, and decide that the case managers don't understand, so you decide not to go back for a while. Anyway, you've been told you'll fail all your life, so it must be true. You can open your eyes. Putting yourself in the shoes of those who either help or are being helped can help you feel their feelings and understand what they're going through. It can help you stay calm when misunderstandings happen and grounded, and also help you understand why it's so difficult to do this work. I have to often remind myself of all of these things whenever we're working with our clients too, because I do have nightmares. It is hard work. You cry when you don't even understand why you need to cry. You do have to step out of important places and meetings or even social events just because there's an emergency happening. But it is all worth it. And this is where God has called you to. I'm going to show you a few pictures of the landing and some events. So this is a Christmas event we had, and our grand opening. We had the prosecutor who prosecuted the detention case, Ruben Perez there, survivor Emma Toole, and we had many others from various organizations up there. This is some pictures of community outreach. We did a salon day for survivors, and actually one of the Mary Kay consultants that helped us, I believe she's here today as well, so thank you for that. And we had some individuals who did hair, makeup, nails, that were all professionals that came and did that for free. This is our picture of our grand opening and our entrance. This is our encouragement tree painted by one of our Sugar Creek members, Larry Crawford, who is an artist, a muralist that he paints for Texas children. So he came and did some muralists at the landing. It's a picture of our counseling room where we partner with shield bearers. This is our vision room when it's not messy. Our kitchen. Food is very important, so we believe that it's very important for us to be able to provide food and water for the individuals that come there. Our resting room and that mural that's painted there, Larry also painted that. This is our family room, and some you can't see here, the TV and another word wall. That's just an encouraging word wall. Our case management room. We have 2 computers available for use for them to be able to study for their GED or for updating their resumes or for understanding and learning more computer skills. We also have lockers available, and that helps build trust with the individuals that come into our center, because when they come back, their belongings are still there untouched. This is a picture of one of our leaves for our encouragement tree that was actually written by a survivor for other survivors to read, that you will survive. And that's just one of my favorite leaves. But we also encourage all of you to write some encouragement leaves today. So we have a table back here, and we have little encouragement leaves. And so you can write a little message of your own, and we will stick them on our encouragement tree. So I encourage you to stretch yourself. Ask the Lord how you can fight this injustice of human trafficking. Ask what your role. Don't give God boundaries or limit him. Quit living as if the purpose of life is to arrive safely at death. This is a quote from Mark Batterson. I recently started a devotional called Chasing the Lion. This was something I read on the first day, and it made me pause. Yes, we do need to be wise. Yes, we do need to ask God for wisdom. At the same time, he asks us to help those who are hurting. This includes helping victims of human trafficking. But depending on the level of involvement that God calls you to, there can be ways that you will help and be in his will, but you still may get hurt. Because let's be real, the devil is working. But God is greater and stronger, and this life is not the end. This is what keeps me going every single day. Every day I wake up with a nightmare, or know one of our girls was hurt, or get yelled at by someone who I'm just trying to help, I know this is God's will, and I will continue to praise Him no matter how beat down I feel. My power is made perfect in weakness. In 2 Corinthians 12:9-10, but He said to me, my grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness. Therefore I will boast all the more gladly of my weaknesses, so that the power of Christ may rest upon me. For the sake of Christ, then, I am content with weaknesses, insults, hardships, persecutions, and calamities. For when I am weak, then I am strong. A few weeks ago, I was on the Stairmaster listening to a sermon. I was exhausted because of what we were going through with one of the girls. I heard this verse in the sermon and just broke down crying. I'm sure people thought I just pushed myself too hard in the Stairmaster, but it was really this verse that spoke to me. His power is made perfect in weakness. How beautiful is that? He gives me strength. It is not my own. Live a life worthy of the calling. Ephesians 4:1. This was the verse that was on the front of my Bible cover that I received 10 years ago when I attended Urbana, a missions conference. This is where I first learned about human trafficking and knew that God was calling me to shine a light on this injustice for the rest of my life. And I hope He shows you today how you can shine on this, a light on this injustice as well. So, how can you help? Whether that's with the Landing or any of the other anti-trafficking organizations and ministries in Houston or abroad, who knows where God is calling you? That's where you need to go to God. Go to the Lord in prayer. So there's a few practical ways. 1, pray. Pray for the individuals involved in this. Pray for those that are helping. Pray daily, pray fervently. You can receive monthly prayer requests from the Landing. If you go on our website, you can sign up to receive those prayer requests. You can also join us Monday mornings from 6 a.m. to 6:30 a.m. We do a conference call where we pray over the phone, over the prayer requests that we have. Educate yourself and others. My dad always says that you're a student of life your whole entire life. And I really believe that you continue to learn every single day. And I hope that I am still learning when I am 80 years old. And I believe that it is important for us to never believe that we have arrived at some place, that we are an expert, that we know everything. We need to continuously be learning. So even though you've heard a little bit about human trafficking, go research more. There's so much more out there that you can learn. Polaris is a great website where you can get many resources about human trafficking. If you go to our table, we have 2 papers that say Recognize the Signs of Human Trafficking and another one about common myths and misconceptions. We might not have enough, so you can still find them on the Polaris website. Also, I would like you all to take out your cell phones, and we are going to put in the National Human Trafficking Hotline in your phone right now. So if you do see any signs of human trafficking, when you pick that up, you can call the National Human Trafficking Hotline number and let them know about the place or anything that you've seen that you may believe to be human trafficking. So that number is 1-888-3737-888. You can also volunteer, and I know people have different amounts of time that they are able to give. And even at the Landing, depending on the amount of time you have to give, you can volunteer in different capacities. You can come on street level outreaches with us. You can come and help with administrative things in our office. There's multiple ways that God can use your gifts and use your talents. Just come and have a conversation with one of us. Some people have asked, so I have the skill set in making these kind of crafts, or music, or fitness, or whatever. We want to be able to offer that programming because that is all part of the healing process. So let's talk about that. Maybe it's a business side that you have more acumen in, and that can be utilized as well. So no matter what your gifts and talents are, or who you are, God can use you. Sometimes it just takes some navigating and talking and figuring out what that looks like. But if you are diligent in trying to figure this out, you'll find it. Lastly, giving. In order to provide the much needed quality services for the individuals we serve, financial backing is essential. And the Lord knows this because He has provided what we have needed so far, and we are so grateful. Our annual budget right now is $350,000, which we hope to increase because we hope to be able to provide more services. We are hoping for monthly donors to be able to sustain the landing. And whether that's giving $15 a month, which I've had people who are even in high school get $15 a month, or whether that's, $1,000 a month because we like to dream big. Anything God sees and we appreciate it, and it will help us provide these services for those individuals. You can either give online at www.thelanding.org, and there's a give button on there, or even on your tables, there's little envelopes that are action cards. So even if you don't want to give and you still want to fill out the action card to receive our monthly newsletters, quarterly newsletters, or if you're interested in volunteering, you can check that box. But on that card is an opportunity for you to either give, volunteer, pray, and receive our newsletters. So we encourage you to do that. You can also sign up for any of those things at our table back there. Anina and Patrice and Christy are back there. So lastly, I just want to really thank you for being here today. And I thank you on behalf of the co-founders of this organization and all of the tears and everything that has gone into this place. I thank you to Sugar Creek for trusting us to be a part of this event, for allowing us, when we are only 8 months old, to be able to be here and share with you what God has been doing at the Landing, at a place that's less than 6 miles away from Sugar Creek. It's beautiful, and this room is beautiful. This room is filled with amazing people with beautiful hearts that took time away on their Saturday mornings to be here to listen about human trafficking. We thank you. And lastly, I just really want to thank my family and my husband, who's taking photos too, who have been there. And last minute, when you're starting anything, everything's last minute. So we putting together things, coming at like midnight to take care of things. And so I thank you to my parents, my sister Rachel, my husband Sonny, our co-founders Deborah Jane Gates, board members, other staff members Patrice, and others that are here today. I really want to thank Jessica and Becky, Carrie, who have been able to put on this event today. We thank you for this time, and God bless you.
Okay, she told you to get your phones out. I'm going to tell you to put them down. Because I know what happened. You got it out, you put in a phone number, you saw you had a notification from Facebook, you started checking that. Look, there's an email. So, take your phone and put it face down. One of the things I need you to do is do not take any pictures or videos during this next segment. Due to the undercover nature of her work, we ask that there be no visuals of any kind taken, please. So y'all use your peer pressure to give the person next to you the stink eye if they look like they're going to pick up their phone. Officer M.I. Jones is an investigator with the Houston Police Department.